I mean, with a new standard, you have to. I mean, there's a national science standard, so.
Right. And that's one thing that I'm like, okay, how do we continue supporting our educators that yet don't have that support?
More money. Yeah.
I know.
Hi, Francois.
How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I was trying to look up. He mentioned something today. Some grants that
Hey,
he
ladies.
purchased
How are
to
y'all?
the
How are you
drone.
doing?
The little
Drone.
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 That's cool.
Yeah. So he mentioned
Andy, who's in charge of that road thing that's going on down there with the big hole and South Carolina DOT, aren't they?
Yes,
Is
state.
there like some kind of a problem? It looks like they went off the
I guess they went on Christmas break.
Christmas break in November.
I know.
That's a long time ago.
Well, they went on Thanksgiving break and just decided not to come
You have
back.
to come back.
You realize this is the South Carolina DOT.
Yeah, I understand. Maybe that was a stupid question. Yeah, that is and it's a huge hole. I mean, that thing is like, I mean,
Oh yeah, it's
it's where I walk and it's scary.
So I don't know if they're what because I know they got the catch basin. I don't know if they're waiting on new drain pipe or
I
what.
was wondering.
Because I called the maintenance engineer, but he was in Greenville and I hadn't heard anything back.
Okay, so we just have to just kind of grin and bear it, huh?
Because that's a busy road. That's a busy road.
It is a
Yeah.
busy road. There's a lot of traffic going through that
Yeah.
neighborhood. And they're probably busy. I'm sure they are, but what can we do? Where are we gonna go? Do you live down there, Dave? Oh, yeah. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Oh, so you must have been out there. So it's usually getting long. I know, I shouldn't do that. Anyway.
on here. I guess we need to get ready to. I have a small bio intro. If it's okay.
Yeah,
Introduce her.
yeah, just let the mayor know.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, I can send it to the mayor if you want to be the mayor.
Hello. My mom's tablet or computer's about to die.
I'll do that. Let's see if she wants. Okay, after public comment. So, at this time. Yeah, will expire.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Anything from Chicopee?
I have not. Scott has tried to call him to get him to do some work for him. Hadn't,
Are you filling in for Mr. Underwood?
Hey, Tyler.
hadn't got
Temporarily,
in touch
he
with
is
him.
running late today,
Okay.
but he
I'm
let
sure
us
she
know.
will do a great job.
She's already doing the alphabets,
Oh, I like it.
so and numbers.
I'm impressed.
So he'll be showing up probably in the middle of the presentation.
I like it.
Do you want the computer to do that, or you want me to go through the slides, or how do you?
You can go through it.
Okay.
All right, so when Mr. Underwood,
My clicker died. So.
This one's simple.
usually for that.
It's the best day.
That one, right there.
That's my father.
Is he coming off, Mr. Talley, off the sewer commission? Is he coming off of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, retired. Okay.
Still get lost a little weight.
Oh, because it's on. It's really not to like add more echo. It's just really to add the audio behind the YouTube.
5:29. We still got 1 minute.
Okay, simple.
It's not up there. Yeah, appointment of committees. You got appointment of committees on here. Oh,
I just didn't add the order.
oh, okay. All right, it's 5:30, Mr. Mayor.
You're not in a hurry, are you?
No, no, the stuff they might be.
Got 'em on at 5:30.
And David's coming late. I
Yeah.
think.
That's the ordinance.
Okay,
Oh,
folks.
okay. I
It
haven't.
is, it's 5:30, so we're gonna get going. This time I'll call the December the 20th, 2022 Walhalla City Council meeting to order. Like to welcome everyone. Thank all of you for coming. Before we have our moment of silence today, Councilman Pace had something he would like to mention.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to mention that a lifelong citizen of Walhalla passed away Friday, Miss Mabel Grant, and during this time of silence, if you would just remember her and her family. Thank you.
I think most everyone
Yep.
knew Miss Mabel.
Buddy's been walking the sidewalks of heaven waiting on her, and she's finally there with him.
Yeah, fine couple.
Yep.
All right, and at this time we'll have our moment of silence. Okay. This time we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Woodward, would you like
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next item will be approval of the agenda. I think all of you have received that. Would somebody like to make a motion we approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, I'll second it. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I don't think there is any. So. Now, next item is approval of minutes. I'm going to trust that all of you's had a chance to look at the minutes. Do I have a motion on the approval of minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay. Next, we'll go to public comment. Public comment is limited to 5 minutes and must be directed to council per City Ordinance 2020-17. Is there anyone here that would like to comment on anything to council tonight?
Got to Courtney
That's
coming up.
a
Okay.
special
one.
That's a report, yeah. Okay. Hearing nothing on public comment, we will move forward. At this time, we have Mrs. Courtney Sheriff, the STEM teacher at James M. Brown Elementary, that's going to present a program for us. But before that, Councilwoman Melendez is going to give us a brief bio on on her, Ms. Sheriff.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you for that. Yes, Ms. Courtney Sheriff is the STEM teacher at James M. Brown Elementary School. She is a product of Oconee County Schools, graduated in 2014 from West Oak High. Ms. Sheriff graduated with her Bachelor's of Science in Elementary Education with an add-on in Early Childhood Education in 2018 from Anderson University. She followed by a Master's of Education Administration and Supervision, also from Anderson University in 2021. And she's currently pursuing her doctorate of education from Liberty University. She is on her 5th year of teaching and her 3rd year of being the STEM teacher at James M. Brown. And through her time, she has received the Teacher of the Year Award in 2021 and was the finalist in the Computer Science Teaching Excellence Award in 2022. During her time, she has built the STEM program solely from donations and grant raising over $30,000 in her time as the STEM teacher. And I wanted to formally introduce all my council members to Ms. Sheriff, and so thankful that she's here. I'll let her take the lead after this.
Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. The purpose of me,
Turn your microphone.
sorry.
No, that's all right.
Press this button.
Yes.
Yeah, it should turn red.
Okay, you're
Okay.
good. You're
Okay.
good. Thank you.
Good now? Thank you again for letting me be here. The purpose of me coming here tonight is to publicly thank everyone in Walhalla as well as Oconee County who has donated to our STEM program. My salary is paid through Title I funds, which is a funding option provided by the State Department of Education. And because it's paid through Title I funds, that means that I am not allowed to have a budget provided for me. So that means I'm obligated to provide for over 500 students all the supplies and all of the materials. So all of the fundraising is up to me. Before we start into the presentation, I would like to thank my administration team because it is their decision on how the Title I funds are spent throughout the school year. And so I would just like to continuously thank them for allowing me to continue to build their STEM program to make it the best STEM program that our district has to offer. We're on the first slide. So in 2019 through 2021, our STEM program raised over $10,000, and this was only with Donors Choose. Donors Choose is a website for teachers and administrators where you can write your own grant for supplies and materials. And then we also accomplished that through state and local grants. During the 2020 through 2021 school year, we raised $4,319.90. And a lot of that was done through the use of food vendors throughout Walhalla. In addition, we created the school garden, and we have 14 different raised beds where we grow fruits and vegetables and then sell them to our faculty and staff, but our students are allowed to have them for free. And then the money that we raise during our profits goes directly back into the STEM program. This was done in accordance with Clemson Extension and the grant that they provide through their agency. In addition, that year we also received the Whole Foods Gardening Grant, which is the $3,000 grant to provide a hydroponic gardening system which allows us to grow food faster and more efficiently to then turn and sell it. Every week we can harvest 5 gallons of lettuce from this tower and then turn and sell it, and it sells out every single week. We also partnered with Folks, which is the Friends of Lake Kiwi Society, and they provided bluebird houses for students to lead research on bluebird migration in our area. I was also accepted into the Cornwall Collaborative Cohort, which is in association with the Roker Mountain Science Center. That's a 3-year commitment, and you're trained seasonally on how to use best practices in science. And every time that you participate seasonally, you receive $1,000 worth of supplies to take back to your school. We can go to the next one. These two pictures are two of my favorite ones. Obviously, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. A big part of the engineering design process is not only creating a design, but it's also fixing a design to make it more efficient. This project that we completed last year was very difficult for our students because I gave them a bigger challenge where our first graders drew a parade float based off of the book Balloons Over Broadway. And so then our first graders handed their designs to our 5th grade class, and whatever the first graders designed, the 5th graders had to make it. And so this was a really big challenge because our fifth graders by this point are accustomed to adjusting and changing the plan, and this time they couldn't. And not only that, did they have to make the design, but it had to be functional as well. So it was a working parade float. So it was a really nice challenge, and they turned out really, really well. And then the first grade students got to take them home once they were finished. We can go to the next slide. So far this year, some of this information has changed, Mr. Burton, since the last time that we spoke. So I'm sorry for that. So far this year, I've created a STEM checkout, which means that teachers can check out any material or supply that I've acquired, from microscopes to lab coats that I have. That way they can use it in their own regular ed classroom, aside from doing STEM. I've also created the STEM storybook checkout for teachers and for students, which is a library within my room that has books that are only relating to STEM. And those reading levels range from pre-K through 5th grade. In addition, our district has 5 STEM teachers, and we're all paid through Title I funds. And we came together in October to work together to participate in Socktober, which is an initiative created by Kid President. If you don't know who he is, I highly suggest looking him up. And James and Brown won the sock drive competition, raising 755 packs of socks, or if you prefer pairs, 3,850 pairs. And then we donated all of our socks to Our Daily Rest in Seneca. And then this is the one that has changed. Since the last time that we spoke, Mr. Burton, we have raised $3,822.68 on Donors Choose, and then I also received notification that we received a $1,500 bee grant from the Whole Kids Foundation, which will provide more honeybee hives and then protective gear for our students to be able to physically get inside of a honeybee hive. Also, we are participating in Trout in the Classroom, which is a grant associated with South Carolina DNR. And then our 4th graders will get to release the trout in person at Table Rock State Park in April. But the entire school is able to view and experience the life cycle of a rainbow trout. And we received our eggs a couple of weeks ago, and they're currently in their 2nd stage. And their back tail fins are starting to develop, and so they're actually starting to swim now. Genesis can tell us more about that later. Another goal that we have is to increase the amount of honeybee hives. This past summer, we harvested 35 gallons of honey, and at the merchant market that Walhalla sponsored, we were able to sell out all of our honey, and we made a profit of $1,900. And with that profit money, we turned and we purchased 2 3D printers for our students to learn with. And I'll go into more depth in that in just a minute. Another goal that we've achieved so far is reviving our courtyard. Over the summer, James and Brown underwent a lot of construction for a new HVAC system, and a lot of the trees and plants had to be removed because of that construction. And so I coordinated with Foothills Church and Headley Nursery along with Donors Choose to transform this area. Now it's an outdoor classroom where our students can go on campus, and it's a secure location as well. So you have to be within the building to get to it. And right now the Boy Scouts of Walhalla is currently building wooden benches for us. That way we have more space for our students to learn outside. This is a picture of our first day with our rainbow trout. These are the eggs. We started with 118 eggs, and unfortunately some of them did pass away, but that's okay. We have 110 that are still living, and they are all swimming and very healthy right now. And the life cycle standards are huge throughout the early childhood and elementary national science standards. So bringing this learning to life through this experience is going to be really helpful in solidifying the content that has to be covered throughout the elementary school. And then, as I said before, we do have honeybee hives that our students can learn from. My favorite one, though, is our observation hive, which is in our hallway across from the library, and it is a secure observation hive, meaning that the bees can't get inside of the building. There is a tube, though, connecting the honeybee hive to the outside of the building so that they can travel back and forth from the outside and back in. Learning life cycles, again, is a huge aspect of the National Science Standards, and so having students to be able to learn in a safe way within the inside of the school to learn about honeybees and see things that most people have not seen is a really cool experience for them as well. Continue going back to our 3D printing. The goal of this is that 4th and 5th grade will eventually sell their products that are made, but in our learning phases they get to take home anything that is printed. And we do have a small gift for all of you that they created that you get to take home with you. But the purpose in that is hopefully next year at the merchant market that we'll have even more things that we can sell for us to bring in more funds back to our STEM program. Another goal that we have accomplished so far is to continue fundraising. A big factor in our fundraising has been food vendors, especially with downtown Walhalla. We've been provide 20% of their sales from the order from our school back to us, or just a flat rate of $250. In addition, we've already passed this next bullet. So I'm hoping that we can beat that by 1,000 this year. And our last for the year is to become a Green Step certified school. This is in partnership with the Extension Agency. And with this, going back to all of our donors, we have a lot of them, and I have them written down. All of our donors have donated a tremendous amount. Without their support, we would not have a STEM program. It's that simple. And so I would like to publicly thank Headley Nursery, Zone 7 Landscape Center, Ace Hardware, Seneca Lowe's, Seneca Home Depot, Clemson Extension, Snyder Electric, Chalk's Barbecue, Chick-fil-A of Seneca, Steph's Steaks, The Hungry Hiker, The Pound Cake Man, Big D's Barbecue, Kona Ice, New Spring Church, Golden Corner Church, and the Roper Mountain Science Center. So all of these restaurants, businesses, organizations have really helped us just build this program from nothing, because without them, our students wouldn't have this STEM program. We just wouldn't have it. These pictures are some of my top 3 favorites. This picture, this very first one, the reason why I put that up there was because these 2 boys are experiencing feeling sound with a tuning fork. And those tuning forks were provided by the Roper Mountain Science Center and the Science Plus Institute that is in association with them. Again, just solidifying those core concepts of bringing science to life, because you can't see sound waves unless you do a really good experiment with them, like putting a tuning fork in water or making sand jump. If you've never done that, just slap by my room, I'll show you. And making the tuning forks touch your ear where you can physically feel the vibrations happening. And this top corner picture right here, this is my lab assistant. His name is Alex, and everything that he is wearing is also provided by the Science Center. And he is holding, I'm not sure if people in the audience can see it, he is holding sweet potatoes from our first sweet potato harvest. And something that I really try to push for our students to learn is that your food does not come from the grocery store. It comes from a plant. And so those connection moments, realizing, wait a second, I can grow my own food. I don't have to go to Ingles or Publix, but I can do this myself. And that was the moment where you got to hold all of them. And then the last picture on the bottom, I incorporate a lot of literacy throughout my classes, throughout all grade levels. And I teach a lot of computer design, and with that, with that, they had to create a monster, and then they had to create a story about how that monster transitioned from a person to a monster. And this one was a taco monster. It was a very elaborate story about how there was a food fight suddenly at James and Brown, and they ingested so many tacos they became the taco monster. But this was designed using Google Drawings. Our school district uses all Google applications, and I think it's important for them to learn how to use all of those applications that we have. Otherwise, it's pointless to have them. All right, now we can go to the next
Can I
one.
ask a question about the potatoes?
Mhm.
How many pounds or what? How many did you count from that?
That first year, we had about 20 pounds.
Wow.
So, and then this
That's
past
really
year, we
good.
had about 30, so
Like
we're
big.
increasing our growth rates.
Did
here,
you
which
grow
is
up
good.
doing all this gardening?
I did.
That's
Yes, I did.
Wow.
I think it's just
That's
wonderful.
And then this last slide here, on the first picture, this is a picture of our students putting together our raised beds that were provided by Clemson Extension, along with Ace Hardware and Seneca Lowe's and Seneca Home Depot. And this is a key moment for me because this was the first time that a lot of our students had ever used tools. Teaching life skills is a huge part of our STEM program because I realized that not everyone grew up like I did, and having these life skills of how to use tools and when to use tools is a very important aspect in life that you will need to know. And so for a lot of them, this was the first time that they were able to put those skills to work. And then our second picture, this was our first ever harvest of cauliflower and broccoli, and our students ate every bit of it after I took this picture. But getting them, again, just to see those connections of that we grew this from a seed, that is a memory that they will keep forever.
And those are the actual ones you grew?
Yes, sir.
Those are beautiful
I
right
know.
there.
I
Wow.
had to take a picture of them.
Wow, you did a great job.
And then our last picture here, this is, I love to teach engineering and how you can build something and make something out of nothing. And they had to make a handheld pinball machine without levers. And so you had to be able to move the whole box to get your ball through the hole. And then you also had to have a theme. And this is the aerial view of Coffee Road. And so on here, on the side, on the bottom side right here, if I took pictures from the side, you would see that that's James and Brown. And then on the other side are the other houses across the street from our school.
Okay.
And so, again, that's just connecting where they are to what they're doing. And so being able to bring
Very
STEM to
good.
life is very important
Really?
for me because we're able to teach such a wide range of skills throughout the class, throughout the entire year. But really the main purpose was that we continue to grow our partnerships within the community with opportunities like the merchant market because that helped us so much. We've been working to get 3D printers ever since I started 3 years ago. And so to finally accomplish that, that was a huge milestone for us as well. And we do have a gift for you. That was made from our 3D printers. These are printed from a plastic filament, and I heavily invite you to come and watch our students use Tinkercad, which is a application that's used by many businesses already within our area. They're using the exact same application that businesses like Sandvik and Snyder Electric are already using. So being able to learn these skills in the 4th and 5th grade is really going to make a difference in the long run. And these are for you to keep.
Thank you.
So,
We'll
That's
keep
neat.
one for Mr. Underwood.
there we go.
Wow.
That's incredible.
And this is the 3D printers that came in from the fundraising event.
Yes.
That is going to be.
Without the merchant market and us being able to sell all of our honey, we would not be able to have bought our 3D printers. So we thank you for having that event and letting us do that. We greatly appreciate it, and we look forward to next year. So, do you have any questions?
Great job.
Thank you, Dan.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
How many schools in Oconee County do you know have STEM programs?
5.
And do you know which ones they are?
Yes, sir. The ones that have it are myself and Brenda Bolden. She is at Blue Ridge Elementary. Sandy Udy is at Westminster Elementary. Madison Lee is at Orchard Park. And Jay Farmer is at Ravenel. So not every school has STEM just yet. I do believe that it's coming, especially with the new report showing that South Carolina is #1 in computer science. I really believe that's going to kind of energize elementary and middle schools to get a STEM program. just to help support that. But we're not there yet. But all of us are paid through Title I funds, and not every school has a Title I fund. So again, it's dependent on if you have a Title I fund, and then how the administrators decide to spend that money.
So it is possible that the middle and high schools may eventually have these type programs.
Yes, sir. And some of them already do. Like the Career Center does an excellent job at incorporating a lot of different areas of STEM in all of the classes that they offer. To me, the Career Center is a STEM school, pretty much, because of the vast array of things that you offer. And so I feel like that offering more STEM classes or computer science classes, that it is coming, but I don't think that we're there just yet.
Other questions?
I just think it's wonderful, you know, the fact that, you know, the gardening, the beekeeping, and the fish raising, and you made a fan of me of this. I knew nothing about STEM, and I'm just sold on it just from your presentation.
Thank you.
I just think it's wonderful. My kids, when they get to be 4, instead of a toy, they're on their 4th birthday, they start getting practical things. So they got a 20-ounce steel hammer. And it sounds like your kids would appreciate that. You got to put a tennis ball on the end so they don't put an eye out. But it sounds like the kids you have would appreciate those things. So I just think that's swell. Wonderful.
And all of you are officially invited to come and participate in our STEM program. It's a lot of fun. In the spring, we have a giant planting day for Earth Day, where all of kindergarten plants out all 14 beds at the same time. It's quite a sight to see. So.
We actually have a tree committee, don't we, Mayor?
Yes, we do.
So we
Yes,
are
we do.
a tree committee on the,
We have applied for the Tree City designation. We won't know to the end of the year, but we're working on that, and we're putting together some plans to plant a bunch more trees this year.
Yeah, that's great. Our honeybees will love that.
That's right.
Thank you.
and one thing I wanted to mention, because I know in Rotary Club they mentioned about the Green Step School, that Walhalla High School is currently a Green Step school. And it sounds like James and Brown's on that direction of
Yes.
becoming a Green Step. What
Yes.
would that be, what impact would that bring more to the table?
The purpose in us being a Green Step school is that we are already doing 95% of the requirements, and I think that we should give recognition where recognition is due.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are already recycling, we already have a garden, we already have all of these different key aspects that Green Step stands for. And so that would give us a bigger platform for our STEM program, but it would also allow us to have more resources for our students.
Okay, so it's a good way to just add credit, like you said, back to reflect that.
And it's a great learning opportunity for our students, for them to see that all of this stuff is intertwined with each other.
Right. That's awesome.
Thank you. I want to ask one more question.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just that since I have you here. So are you a beekeeper?
Yes,
You are a beekeeper.
yes.
And so,
I grew up doing beekeeping.
okay.
And then I did it a little bit through high school. I received a scholarship through the Beekeepers Association here.
Oh.
And then kind of got out of it in college, but then whenever I came back to James and Brown, they already had honeybees. So
Okay.
it kind of just fit together.
Oh,
Next
that's
time
great.
they come to my house, I'll call you,
Give me a
because
call.
we donated probably, they said close to 60,000 that they got out of 2 swarms last summer, I guess it was. So
Just give me a call.
scared their neighbors, but we'll call you.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
But thank you all for letting me present and showcase the community. And
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, absolutely. Best of luck to you and your
Yes.
I
class.
appreciate it.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is our administrator comments, and we'll turn it over to Mr. Burton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to recap a couple of things and bring you up to speed on a little bit. I just want to first thank all the city staff and the volunteers this year, and especially the holiday season. We've done a few little different things this year in regards to Christmas and this, that, and the other. It's been a busy year, but I appreciate all the staff hanging in there with us, doing the events and parades and things of that nature, and I truly appreciate the volunteers They haven't got a count on it yet, but they've spent just a ton of hours planning and helping do things. So, and obviously a lot of this wouldn't happen if it wasn't for those volunteers. But I really just wanted to thank the Public Works Department for putting up all the Christmas lights and everything that they did this year. It looks really nice. Probably already seen, but carriage rides will return Christmas Eve. Apparently, even with the rain that they had the other day when they did it, they had a good show and good turnout, and they wanted to come back, so we found a way to make that happen. Might be just a nice little touch before Christmas Day. I do know that some of the shops are going to stay open, so it should be a nice evening. It'll be cold,
It's gonna be cold.
but it'll be nice. There is a I'll come to that next part later. Stump House Mountain Bike Park. The design is done. The flagging's on the ground. We walked some of that the other day. I think everything looks good. They're getting ready to turn ground probably if it's not soggy and froze first week of January. So they're gonna get started on that pretty good. So be looking forward to that. I see Katie, she's here tonight. I just wanted to thank her for all the work that she stepped in after the departure of Libby and really held the Main Street program together and helped me out a lot too, planning for the events and things of that. Somebody to bounce ideas off of and take care of some stuff, behind the scenes. So I just thank you, appreciate the work you've done on that. We've had a busy year this past year. There's a lot changed, a lot going on. I thank the staff and I thank council for hanging in there and helping us get through it and getting things done. I think as far as I'm gonna brag on the department heads, I think we've got an incredibly strong team this year. I think everyone is truly committed to Walhalla, its citizens, its community. So, and I appreciate all the department heads for that. And looking forward to next year, it's going to be busy as well. Hopefully, we'll find our groove, but it's going to be busy. If you read the newspaper, if you read the financial stuff, everybody's talking about gloom and doom. We're going to work through that and try to come out better on the other side. So. That was a few things I wanted to mention. We did have our employee luncheon the other day. Something that I've started. Want to recognize our employees that's been with the city for a number of years. 20-year awards went to Scott Paris with the Water Department, Lieutenant Robert Bennett with the Police Department. He's also our SRO, and Captain Charlie Visage with the Fire Department. 15-year awards went to John Galbraith with Recreation, and Tommy Crooks out at the water treatment plant. Also, the administrator gave an Outstanding Service Award to Zane Thompson, Chase Williams, and Brad Hancocks. They all work in the Water and Sewer Department. Brad has been out numerous times early of a morning to fix sewer problems, trample around in the dark to find things. Chase and Zane have done that as well. But Zane especially and Chase have sort of, helped me a lot with some facility repairs. They've been doing some remodeling. So they're just really a couple outstanding workers. We've all got good workers, but they really stood out this year. And Employee of the Year was Michael Moss with Public Works. I thought he was well deserving of that. You always see him out on a knuckle boom, trash truck, mosquito sprayer, pickup truck. He's always, he is the heart of the city. So I really appreciate what he does. And this year, Department Head of the Year was Tim Rice. It's not easy for a department head to come in, hit the ground running. He did that, and I appreciate him. Every administrator needs a good, solid individual to work with, and he works well with the other staff. And I just appreciate everything that he's done this year and look forward to next year. So, and I did include in the packet a request. Let me scroll down here and just highlight it. Y'all can read it. Shanae Williams from Foothills Church. They participate in the program Love Where You Live event, and they're wanting some ideas from the city on things that they could do as far as help paint, plant, pressure wash, whatever beautification type things that the city would like to see done. They're willing to do that. They're going to also have a little event on the Arby's Green from 9 to 12 on Saturday, April the 22nd. So they would like to just have some ideas, so y'all be thinking about maybe a few things around town that y'all would like to see some community effort, a little bit of elbow grease put into, and I'll relay that to her, and we'll take care of that. And that is all I have.
Okay, thank you, sir. Our next item on the agenda is our resolution 2022-10. This is a resolution to recognize Talmadge Talley Grant for his service to the city of Walhalla. Now, he's here with us, and you have that right here.
Y'all need to vote on it first, and then we can get it.
Oh, we need to vote on it, all right?
Oh, no.
We're gonna vote to give you this. All right, do I have a motion?
Motion that we.
So moved.
On the resolution.
Yes, sir. On the
Yes.
resolution.
And
Second.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, there is absolutely none, and if there is, we don't wanna hear it. So, at this time, I will read this. It says, a resolution to honor the contributions of Talmadge Talley Grant to the city of Walhalla. Whereas Talmadge Talley Grant has served on both the Oconee County Sewer Commission and the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority. Talley served as Walhalla's representative on the Oconee Sewer Commission from May the 1st, 1989 through December the 21st, 1993. Talley served as the joint Walhalla-Westminster representative on the Joint Regional Sewer Authority from March the 5th, 2012 to December 2022, as he is now retiring. Talley served on all standing committees of both entities representing Walhalla and Westminster. This is a joint seat. Talley has contributed to the progress and expansion of the sewer system. Talley has honorably and faithfully served as a representative for the city of Walhalla. Now, therefore, Walhalla City Council resolves to express gratitude and to recognize Talmadge Talley Grant for his dedication and many years of service to Walhalla for both the Oconee Sewer Commission and the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority, and for the betterment of the county sewer system. Be it further resolved, Walhalla City Council wishes Talley much happiness in his retirement after his steadfast and faithful service. So resolved this 20th of December 2022. So, could we all give Talley a round of applause? And we're gonna present him with this plaque. I'll come around, Talley.
Yeah, that goes with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that goes with it too.
What's next after retirement, Mr. Talley?
Excuse me?
What's next after retirement?
What's next? I still got a few more things I gotta finish up.
Yeah. Great, dude.
There you go, sir. Would y'all like to
You want to
take
get
a picture for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, the media's here.
As a matter of fact, Brandon, you gonna come around? Come around and
I'll get it out of his way first.
Get out the picture.
Get up there.
Get in the picture.
hey, thank you. You're quite welcome.
It's been a great pleasure. You wouldn't think that you'd get a serving on the sewer commission. But there is. There's a lot of things. Also, I serve on your county city transportation committee. We did streetscape.
Very helpful.
And we're still working on some of that. We got some more ideas we need. City and us working. But it's been a really good few years. I'm a firm believer in if you're gonna take something out of the community, you need to get something back. And I've tried to do a little bit. Done a great job. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cal.
What some of you may not know is Callie also served several terms on the Walhalla City Council. Besides being on the State Seafunds Committee, and I believe you also were on COGS, some of their programs as well, Appalachian Council of Governments. So he's been very helpful to Oconee County and the city of Walhalla.
Really enjoyed it all.
Thank you.
No, we still got some ornaments to do.
Next item we have, I can get my computer lined up here. It's on our ordinances. We're going to need to open this up for public comment and public review of ordinance 2022-14.
No, sir, this is the first reading of the committee.
Okay, so we'll do that before the second reading.
Correct.
All right, so we're gonna have first reading of ordinance 2022-14 tonight, then, Councilman Pace.
Yes, sir.
Turn it over to you, sir.
This is ordinance 2022-14 to issue an amendment number 1 to amend the fiscal year 2023 budget docket and other matters related thereto. And I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Have a motion, have a second. Motion and a second.
What
So-
that is some money that came back into the PD through an officer that vacated, and it's some refund on credentials.
All right, is there any other discussion on this? Questions?
It's just being put back into the police budget.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. If there's no questions, all those in favor of first ordinance 2022-14, if you will, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There is none, so that will pass. All right. Next item on the agenda is discussion action items to be voted, talked about tonight. And Mr. Burton, I'll turn those over to you, sir.
Okay, as you know, the council is, watching TV.
So we know it's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I guess the first thing we should check is whether we can feel.
Just bear with us, hang on.
Yeah.
Well, it works y'all know, each year, or about each 2 years, council's comprised of committees that represent each department or other functions as well. So usually at the end of the year, we'll determine committees for next year, and for whatever reason this isn't going to work wirelessly. It worked fine earlier, and now it's decided not to. So I was going to pull up the ordinance, and if we could review that if you had any questions. So you'll need to elect a mayor pro tem and also elect, or divide up council seats for each committee.
So if, we elect these every 2 years, it's been 2 years since we do committees. This is by ordinance. You know, I'm on all of them, so I don't care. I have nothing as far as personal as to what the ordinance says, and as while he's working on this, if you want to, we can go ahead and elect a mayor pro tem for the next 2 years. That be correct?
Yes, sir.
So you're just receiving nominations on that?
Yes. Anybody from the floor can nominate someone to be mayor pro tem.
I nominate, Sadaib.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion and a second. Is there any other nominations? I don't hear any.
I nominate, Woodward to maintain. He's kept good notes for the last several times he's done it.
Thank you.
Always in attendance.
Okay, so we have 2.
What does the process, if I may, what does the process look like with a council member absent?
Oh, you still have a quorum, so yeah, you can
Oh,
continue
okay.
on.
I
Yeah.
was just wondering if, he provided his input.
So,
And just so that way we can make some clarification, what is the role for the mayor pro tem? I know you're trying to pull up the ordinance,
Here we go.
Okay.
You got it.
there you
Yeah,
go.
let's read it. Let's read it.
People on this side can't see it.
Oh,
Basi-
Tyler, can you turn
basically,
that
if-
screen a little bit that way, so?
Yeah. If the
There.
There
mayor,
you go. Can you see it there?
the mayor is not at the meeting, or if the mayor can't make a function, anything like that, the mayor pro tem would stand in for the mayor, run the meeting, like he does every night, and possibly go to functions and things of that nature. Just be the mayor's standing.
and this is for beginning in January, so it'll
Correct.
be for the next 2 years.
So that's everything right there that refers in this ordinance, refers to the mayor pro tem, section 1, 2, and 3?
Yes.
Any other questions?
So this, according to section 1, this actually should have been done, in January.
No, sir.
The council shall elect a mayor pro tem at the first meeting of the new council.
When we pass this ordinance, can you scroll back up to the ordinance?
I was gonna say, is this the updated one? I know that we had,
Yes.
oh, the
this is
city one, okay,
Updated from 2020.
okay.
Yeah, we passed this in 2020, and it was for 2 years. It was an odd year when they did it, and that is something this council may wanna look at to change it. To where it would coincide with the elections. But when this was done, for whatever reason,
Well, I'm reading it here, and whereas section 57190 of South Carolina Code requires that the council elect from its membership a mayor pro tem for a term of not more than 2 years. And then I'm looking right down that last line that's on there. I'm not looking to find fault. If we missed it, we missed it, and we need to do it. But it says the council shall elect a mayor pro tem at the first meeting of a new council. So I'm fine with electing a mayor pro tem, but that's pretty clear.
I don't disagree that it needs to be changed to an election year, and this is not an election year.
So we would be looking
But
about electing
neither-
a mayor
neither-
pro tem for a year until we have an election.
We can, the only thing we gotta do is we gotta figure out a way to go by the ordinance. When we did this, it wasn't an election year then either. And it, obviously, it should have been corrected then.
Yeah, fair enough. I move that, I guess, we elect a mayor pro tem according to this
For the next year.
for the next year. And then get it on so we're lining up what it says right there in section 1.
That makes sense. Is that agreeable with what the ordinance says, you think? Is there anything else we would have to do?
Yeah, I think it'd be fine. Councilman Woodward served in that role for 2 years. You're just re-upping it, for either for him or for whomever else. And then,
At the
you can do it for not, more than 2 years, but nothing says that you can't do it every year. And you can do it again in 2024. You could do it every year. That would be fine.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for it to be for this next year, is that correct?
That's what I feel we need to do,
Okay,
to stay in line with the ordinance.
okay. All right,
So, I'm confused a little bit, because when we say next year, we're thinking starting January of 2023, so whatever we're discussing now.
it would be for the 2023 year.
Calendar years.
Calendar year, so.
Oh.
Be an election at this time next year for anyone.
Well,
You'll
yeah,
have
from
new-
January. When the new council is seated,
Okay. Yeah,
the new
you're right.
council, because new council will be
first of
seated in January or,
Then they will elect a new mayor pro tem for,
Right.
Okay.
in
That's-
2024.
That's how I see
wouldn't, my advice is don't get buried in the weeds here. Elect a new mayor pro tem, and then after the first of the year, I would advise council to look at this ordinance and clean up some of the
And amend it.
language. I would offer just remove new council altogether. You would elect new committees and new mayor pro tem every year. That takes away any, well, what's the definition of a new? Y'all had new council members, but the majority of council did not get elected, so is that really a new council? So I think we could play on words here for a while, but I would just let's go ahead and elect a mayor pro tem and then tackle that in 2023 next year. Well,
Maybe
we've got some ordinance work to do. We
Rewrite
can
the
clean that
ordinance.
clean that up. That way it's very clear. You elect a mayor pro tem and a new committee every year.
Well, wouldn't we have to have 2 readings?
You would,
Anyway.
yes, yes.
Well, I'm good with that.
And this is solely on the subject of the mayor pro tem?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then, and from my understanding, if this ordinance is to be introduced to do some amendments and to do some, like you said, cleaning up and everything, it will still go upon to the majority of council moving forward and what that could be subject to change.
It could very well,
Correct.
you could change it in 2023. There's an election in the fall, in November of 23, when a new council, let's just say all the seats rearranged in 2024, it could be changed again. So, there's opportunity to change, it honestly could be changed every 6 months or every year, so. As with anything.
All right, well, are we gonna need to act on his motion?
But
Or
you
do you
wanna
wanna
just take it up again, I'll just withdraw the
just,
motion and.
yeah,
we'll
I
elect,
just wanna go by rules of
Yeah,
order.
I would,
Okay,
so, and I think it's, you know, the understanding that after the first of January, we'll, staff, and I'll just go ahead and make this assumption, staff will work on this, I'll get with y'all, and then we'll explore making those adjustments, after the first of the year.
Well, we can go ahead and elect someone right now.
Yes, you can elect someone now.
okay. All right, I think we're all clear on that. All right, we have 2 nominations for Mayor Pro Tem.
We didn't have a second.
I don't know that do we have to have a second on a?
No, nomination.
I think in the
nomination.
past, we just give names and then we vote on the names,
Do,
but
It just says, the mayor shall request nominations, you've got 2 that have been nominated. And then, if there's any other nominations, keep it open, if there's no more nominations, you can close the nomination, and then council, will vote
okay.
for
We
the
got
position.
2 nominations, does anybody wanna nominate anybody else? All right,
I'm sorry, just to be clear, the nomination is just the beginning of the process, but the voting on those 2 nominations won't start until January?
No, you'll vote on them tonight,
To be prepared for January,
Correct.
for the new year,
That's
calendar year.
exactly.
yes.
Okay.
would someone like to move that nominations be closed?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Second.
nominations are closed. All right. Do we wanna do a paper?
I don't know how y'all done it in the past, I'll claim ignorance on this part. I don't know if y'all did.
We wrote them on paper.
I was thinking that's what we did last time, so we wanna. Cause we're all friends here and we won't be friends after this is moved forward.
Just the name,
Yes, just the
name of your choice.
More 2 more slips.
Is that it?
That's it.
Councilman Woodward. Councilwoman Melendez. Councilwoman Melendez. Councilwoman Melendez. Councilman Woodward. Councilman Woodward. You have a tie vote.
Might as well just wait till David comes in, leave it at his.
You'll just wait till you have a full council. Tie votes essentially.
And if for any
A no
reason
vote,
he
so-
was not to come, we'll do it again first meeting in January.
You can do it in January, and by then I'll have the proposed meeting schedule ready for y'all to vote on too. Because you'll have to publish the calendar for the year as well.
Do you want to go back to that? Is there any more discussion on committees?
Is this the same then, ordinance that has about committees being re-upped every 2 years too?
Yes, this is the mayor pro tem and ordinance and the committee ordinance is the same. So
Move together.
they're together, so.
It's all part of the same thing, so.
Can you run it up there so when we see, I can read this when it's talking about the committees coming in? Is this the section 6 is where it starts committing? Oh,
Actually, it
remember, okay.
starts at section 4.
Okay.
This ordinance is a bit outdated because you'll remember when we created the Community Development Department, we have a Community Development Committee, so there is another committee on that. So that'll be some cleanup that we do in the codification process, so.
Might as well do it when we address the mayor pro tem
Right.
next year.
Yeah, we can,
And anything else might be
Yep.
vague. or vague.
Can you scroll up? I mean, if everyone's finished reading it?
I'm good. The mayor appoints, right? Is that what it said?
Yes.
I mean, like the entire membership too?
It is, the logic behind this, I believe, was the mayor appointed the committees with council's approval, so you guys could theoretically say, no, we don't wanna do that.
Okay.
Honestly,
Works for me.
up until 2020, the tradition had been that every year the mayor appointed committees, and that goes way back to Lamar Bales and Julian Stoudemire. That wasn't anything I came up with. But being that there's been a little bit of confusion, I think the logical thing might be to do that we just continue the committees we have for another year. And that way, there again, that sort of goes against what that ordinance says, because these committees have been for 2 years, even though a couple of you guys have only been on here a year.
Right.
Because of the way the election and the way this was written and with the last appointment. But I think it would be good to, if everyone's in agreement, that we just possibly look at leaving everyone where they are, and then when we rewrite this ordinance, we can start over next year when the new council is elected, the new members, and the mayor at that time can appoint. Is that agreeable with everyone?
It is to me. I'm happy.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, just because I wanna make sure, we're gonna, each council member that is assigned to the current committee will remain the same
for another year.
for another year, unless any amendments comes forward that makes changes on this and
Well,
adjustments
no,
can be done.
any changes we make on the ordinance will start in 2024.
Gotcha, okay,
This will just carry us through to the next election.
okay, I'm following now, thank you.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't see that it says that you need to change it every 2 years in this ordinance. Maybe there's another ordinance that says it, but in this ordinance it doesn't say it that I read.
Well, it doesn't necessarily that you say that you have to change, but the logic behind that, there's two reasons to change. Is number one, let's be honest, some of the committees require more work than others. And this is just my personal opinion, I've always felt like it was unfair for somebody to have to tote the load of the harder committees for the whole time period, maybe they're on council. If they're appointed to one that's having a difficult time, I think everybody gets to share the load, so to speak. And the other thing is, I think it also helps council members to become more acquainted with the department heads if they deal with them as a committee head of that department. They're gonna interface, they're gonna have discussions that they won't have if they don't ever serve on that committee. So,
Well, I understand your point.
um,
I'm fine with it. I'd like to continue on utilities, all the committees I'm on. If I look at David, and Coach, you'd be similar, both of you being police officers. Wow, you guys are ideally suited to be on the police committee, and I think, wow, you at least want one of you always on there, because your experience invaluable, I would think, to the policeman and the chief. But yeah, I'm absolutely fine staying. I've enjoyed all my committees.
All right,
The only question is the community development. Those were temporary.
Those were temporary. I would just make a motion if you keep everything the same,
those remain the same?
that those
as well?
remain the same as well.
Okay.
Cause they were supposed to have come off
Mhm.
at the election of a new committee. But you can just, if everything remains the same, everything remains the same. When we incorporate all the committees, the ordinances together, we can take care of that too.
Right.
So,
Well, I'll make a motion then, we just move on standing committees assigned as they are for another year.
Second that.
All right. If everyone's in favor, all in favor of that, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? I don't think there is any, so that's what we'll do. All right. Next item, Mr. Burton.
I believe next on the agenda
Is
is.
There's a
HGH
man of the
Construction,
hour.
yes.
The month of November, we advertised construction contract for the Walhalla Wonderweg, the Greenway. Our original estimate was around, I'm just gonna round up 1.2 million. That was what the designers and the numbers guys said when we started this project. After getting all the bids, the low bid came in at $972,003, and that's with an amendment to change in an intersection configuration. So as you can tell, it come in way under budget. This will just authorize the administrator to develop a contract and sign the necessary documents for that. The federal government has to approve this contractor through ACOG first. Being that there are federal funds involved, they just have to make sure they're not disbarred, that they're not delinquent on anything. There's no outstanding judgments on them. HDH Construction, which is local, they've done this type of work in other municipalities, and I believe they're finishing up a similar type project in Pendleton. That's staff's request that we make that award to HDH Construction, obviously pending the approval of the federal government through ACOG.
Okay.
We
But-
need a motion on that?
Yes, you'll need
I'll make a motion to move on that. For
Motion?
HDH Construction.
Yeah, HDH, yeah.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I'm not a fan of building this now, especially with all the economy, and it's only turned worse since this was passed in the budget. We're $20 million in debt already on a water plant. We're looking at $1 million here. We can't hire, because we're not paying them enough, Class A operators. We've heard that from our utilities director. Equipment's old in utilities. These are needs, necessities. And it goes on down department after department after department, and we're soon to be in the trouble we had with sanitation because we didn't take care of the garbage trucks, and we're spilling garbage on the streets this past summer. We're set to go through this in every department, but if we lose one operator right now, we're gonna be in this in water. And I don't see raising water rates on people anymore so we can hire these Class A operators when we have the money right here. So I'm gonna vote no on it, not that I have anything against this construction company, is that I just think we're worrying about wants, we're putting wants over needs, and it's not a prudent thing to do.
Any other discussion? Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Okay. Next item is discussion appointment of business license hearing official. Would you like to tell us what we got there, Mr. Burton?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have had a couple of issues come up with business license. Either businesses in town just getting in trouble with other organizations, not renewing their license, and just various sundry things. And there's some actions that the city can take, and some of them lead up to the revocation or suspension of the business license. Each municipality has that authority. However, I just need direction from council, because in several places, it states that the hearing officer, well, let me back up. The city issues a suspension or revocation of a business license, and we pull that license. That licensee holder has the right to appeal to the city. So in doing that, the council or its designee needs to be determined on who hears that appeal. So that's what I'm asking council direction on. Is it states in the ordinance, council or its designee. Do you want to basically hold business license court, or do you want to appoint someone else to handle those matters? Now, once council or its designee has that final say, if the person's still not happy with the outcome, they would have to appeal to circuit court. So the city would have that hearing officer, whether it be whoever you appoint or council, that would be the final say unless they appealed it and went through the judicial process, much like the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Give me an example where they could something that they would appeal, or something you've been having problems with.
I had a business basically selling to underage people, selling alcohol to underage people. You read the ordinance, they're doing illegal activities, they've been caught on it, I can pull their license. So, but in doing that, they have the right to an appeal. So they would come before the panel, whether it be council or whoever y'all appoint, and state their case.
Could the Board of Zoning Appeals do this or not? Would that be too much for them to
They don't
conflict?
meet regularly enough to, it would be a little bit.
I guess short answer, they could, but they don't meet that regular. But I don't know how often this is going to need to be met as well. But I would have to check and make sure it be legal for even BZA to handle that.
That's what I was wondering. If it might be easy enough for council to do it, since we meet regularly, we're already a body, and we can discuss it. So
Would general government, that committee handle that anyway, or?
They could.
that's a good idea too.
It's up to council who y'all want to appoint to handle that.
General government listens to it and brings it to full council, and then to go from there.
Well, it'd just be an appeal.
It would
So
be
either one or the other, I think is how it'd
it'd
have
be
to
one of
be.
the others. The committee wouldn't listen to it and make a recommendation to council. It would either be council or its designee. There's just one shot at the appeal, then it goes to court.
I'll make a motion that goes to general government.
What, how is this, do you know how this is handled in other cities? Have you?
Usually they appoint someone. It can't be the business license manager or anybody like that actually does that. So it's either their judge or somebody else that they appoint. In the past, there's been a former council member that has been the hearing officer for the set-off debt. So if someone gets a debt collection from the city on their water, which means that they garnish their state income taxes, they have the right to an appeal, and that person hears that argument and makes that decision.
Just like a magistrate judge could,
It could.
would that be, I mean, it's not gonna be too burdensome.
We would have to have that agreement, because the magistrate works for the county, doesn't work for us, so we'd have to have that, we'd have to have an
It
agreement
wouldn't be
with the
something
county.
the
in
city
place.
judge would do.
The city judge could, if y'all authorize to do that. I'll check the legality on that, but
General Goodman.
I'll second David's motion.
That the,
General Government Committee.
And who's on the committee?
Right now, it's,
Us three.
us
right
three,
here.
but that changes, the subjects change every couple of years.
yeah, but for the next year, it's gonna
Yeah.
be you three.
Yeah.
But as you say, it would not be something that would be recommended to council. Y'all
No,
would
it
just
would
make
just
the
be-
decision, and
Yeah.
that
You
would
would
be
be the
final.
judge.
Yeah.
a one step.
That's what it
Um,
sounds like.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
the committee.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I think having 3 ears listening instead of appointing one person is a
Mm-hmm.
more optimal
Yeah.
solution.
I agree. I have no problem with that. All right.
I'm fine with it.
All right, you have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Here we are. I'm trying to get back to the agenda. Just give me a second here. Okay.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Page
All right.
32.
Committee reports is next, from our December the 6th meeting. And the first one, is recreation, Mr. Woodward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Director Galvers reported that, we will be hosting the All-Star Soccer Games November the 10th through the 14th at Memorial Field. Basketball has current registrations of 243 players. Says the All-Star Football is coming up, and baseball and softball teams have finished their season. And that's all they had, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Next one is Public Works. Mr. Councilman Jordan.
Yes, sir. In November, the city of Walhalla picked up, delivered 28 roll carts, picked up 6, repaired and replaced 4. Continue to do routine, cleaning up leaves and brush, trash, etc. On November 1st, the back truck that caught on fire had a total loss. Thank the fire department, police department for assisting, helping with that. They put up the Christmas lights and decorations, which again, I do think look very nice this year. I've always been really happy to see those coming into town. Picked up the Christmas tree from North Carolina, wasn't it, Brandon?
yes, sir.
Yeah. And the leaf truck is back up and running. I know there were some issues with that.
So what today?
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Police Committee, Councilman Underwood.
Sir, Chief Rice reported it's a new hire, Austin Chenault. Am I pronouncing that right? Chenault. Reporting to the Academy November 10th for Class 1 certification. October events, training, and other news. Michael Shedd, K-9 officer, is currently attending training for K-9 search and tracking certification and a K-9 first aid certification. Had the Merchant Market on Main Street. Halloween on Main Street, Walla PD had 950 people that came through the police department and blew through the bay at the fire departments. It was a little over 1,200 people came through the fire department, and came through. Chief Rice will be attending or he has attended the South Carolina Law Enforcement Association accreditation training in Columbia in November. So they had 141 total calls for service, 335 traffic stops, 20 traffic collisions, 63 incident reports, 103 citations, 23 arrests, 438 extra patrols, 71 hours of overtime, and 189 hours of training. Officer Shield will be attending advanced roadside impaired enforcement at the Criminal Justice Academy, and Corporal Jonathan Jerde will travel to the academy to be a guest instructor for a week while he is there. He will renew his instructor certification to allow him to teach our officers in the house. And that's all we got.
Let's go to utilities. Mr. King.
As I alluded to a moment ago, this is the big thing on the agenda with utilities, is the lack of ability to find Class A operators and other positions for utilities. And it all seems to be not even getting nibbles related to our pay scale. We're not paying enough to get, I mean, it's just that they're worth their weight in gold because there's so few of them out there. And this is what Mr. Paris and I have been talking about, and we're gonna have to do something to be able to lure people here to do it, because we are at the critical point. We need Class A operators. As long as I don't know how much longer you're gonna go overloaded until this busts. That's where we're at. They're doing a great job. Everyone's doing a great job holding it all together, but we can't operate like this indefinitely.
Well, I sit on this committee, and I don't appreciate you putting the blame on the council and the city on salaries, because the director has sat here and told us that the pay is not the problem. It's a nationwide problem. Is plant operators.
Well, if he's here, let's bring him out.
I pay attention, and it has been said.
That was not what I was told this week.
That was what he told us in the report on December the 6th. When we
I asked him that question.
You asked him that question?
Is that right?
Yes.
It should be reflected in the minutes.
That this is a nationwide problem, not just on us, on our
No,
salary.
and I just admitted
On
this
our
is
salary.
a nationwide problem. This is why everyone's vying for these guys. And they're having, the highest bidder's gonna get them.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got something to offer that a lot of places don't. We live in a great place
Well, the higher bidders are all private. The government operated ones, at a scale of operation that Walhalla has, we're on the top of the pay scale. I used to be in the business, Grant. I know what it pays.
I understand, Keith, but when you can't hire, no one's applying,
Because
and you can't hire
there's
them.
no one filling the field. It's not that we're not paying enough. They're just not people interested anymore.
There has been people living in this county, I think there is currently, going to Greenville to work, and they're qualified to work here.
Yeah. I know people that's working here that drives out, and I've talked to them. I've tried to explain the difference in a private pay scale where they just making a paycheck and working for a government entity with all the fringe benefits. All they care about is the money. They don't. But the package is the same. But the package is the same thing. These salaries that pay $80,000, we put more than that in our employees because we pay for everything. We provide them with their insurance, their retirement, transportation for most of them. We pay all that.
You don't have to sell me on
No,
it.
I mean, put that in part of
We
your-
gotta sell them on it.
Well, put that in part of your presentation instead of putting us all down.
Keith, I'm not putting this down. I'm just stating what the state is. I'm making a report of the current state of our utility. I'm just making the report. I just talked to our director. This is what we just talked about.
Thank you.
And I'm just passing it on.
Thank you.
I guess my concern is this what you're saying was not what was presented in our committee report.
The committee reports, are we just going to hear a committee report, the exact same thing, and say the exact thing over again? We all heard it. It's in the minutes. Read the minutes. I'm
How
keeping you
about the
up to
folks-
date on where utilities are today. That is my responsibility as a chairman. If you
Does
want to
it-
read it, you read it.
Does it say committee report December the 6th, 2022? Is that what it is referring to?
It sounds like you just want to keep your head in the sand on all this.
Nope.
So if that's
No,
what you
'cause we
want
talk
to
about
do,
it during
just
the committee.
do it, but don't give me any grief about just telling you the truth and keeping everybody up to speed.
Well, maybe we just need
Just
to
stick
get
your head
Mr.
back in the
Paris to
sand.
come back to the regular meetings, and then he can give us another report other than the one he gave us 2
I
weeks
just gave
ago.
you the update and nothing's changing, just updated it.
Okay, let's move on. Our next one is fire committee. Councilwoman Melendez. if
Yes,
you'd
thank
like
you,
to
Mayor.
Update us.
Yes, thank you. We had 121 fire responded to calls for services, 51 fire, 67 medical and rescue, mutual aid calls, 58 calls inside city, outside, 400 hours of incidents, 227 hours of training. I wanted to add on this, Councilmember Grant Keane and myself were part of those training when it was from the burning building, so we did get to participate on that this year. 2 full-time openings, 3 staff members currently taking EMT classes, expected to graduate in November. Currently finishing up process of credentialing to be certified to respond to calls. Assisted with Oktoberfest. This is the accurate one, right? Because I am following along.
Are you reading after November the 6th?
Should be page 35.
No, I'm not. So was it mixed in with all of that?
No, it's always at the end. The month's committee reports are always at the end of
Yeah.
the agenda.
Thank you for that. Let me back up clarifying. So for this reporting is 142 fire responded, thank you, to calls, 63 fires, 79 medical rescue, 27 mutual aid calls, 60 calls inside the city, 55 outside hours on incidents, and 228 hours of training. In the process of hiring for the last full-time position, 3 staff members took the EMT class, passed and graduated. Staff completed in-staff training on the burn scenarios at the burn building, averaging 133 calls per month. Staff completed a Shop with a Hero fundraising event, waiting to hear back in regards to grants that were submitted. With temperatures lowering, be mindful of the road conditions, black ice, especially in the early mornings. I think we're all experiencing that even now. Food trucks inspections, 31 business inspections, 19 pre-plans, 4 rental inspections, CL alarm installations, 1 smoke installation, and some hours of overtime is what's reported on the fire department committee. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, let's go to community development.
I don't see that on here. Maybe it's. I'm glad I caught that because I was reading. I said October. We're past that.
Under general government, Ms. Myers' report is there.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Updated business packets and facade grant applications. They reviewed zoning and subdivision ordinance and the vacant building ordinance proposal, as well as the historic ordinance draft. The community development team met with 2 potential new business, 1 potential subdivision, 3 new business who have completed their business packages, including receiving their business's license. They have either opened or are ready to open. 6 zoning permits, 3 business licenses, 3 sign permits, 2 preliminary subdivisions, 1 fence, 1 demolition, food truck permits, 2 violations, verbal and written. That's all I have to report at this time.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to general government, finance, Mr. Pace.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Burton reported that Duke Energy had completed most of the work at the EV charging stations. The large transformers are still on order and waiting to be hauled in and connected. Working with Main Street Walhalla Subcommittee and the Oconee County Chamber of Commerce. We are planning an open house for January 9th for the new year at the Civic Auditorium. It's an opportunity for the community to meet city organization and staff to ask questions. City Christmas luncheon for staff December the 9th at 11:30 at the banquet hall, and budget reports had been sent out. Also reported meeting at Stump House to review the trail and flagging. Bids on the Greenway. Reported the Veterans Day Parade was canceled due to weather. Merchant Open House on the 12th. Walhalla Wonderland Christmas Committee tour of homes. The Santa Stroll, carriage rides, caroling, and the businesses will all be open. And we all know how well that went. It was a big turnout for all the stuff in town for the holidays. He reported about the budget amendment and various other things to do with that. Gave out a chart to council members to outline the 2024 budget planning process and workshops and so forth. Also spoke to the council about scheduling a joint meeting with the planning commission, Mayor Edwards, and that was all. Sorry.
Okay. That's all of our.
And
committee
before we
reports.
close, Mr. Mayor, we want to let Mr. Underwood vote and
Yes, we could, if you wanna let him vote on Mayor Pro Tem.
Explain to
I'm with y'all, whatever y'all want, so,
we got two nominees,
okay.
Sarai and Coach. So cast a vote.
And we're
Yeah,
gonna
whether
give
you,
a-
whether you put on paper or not, we all know what your vote is.
I would recommend that
He just,
someone makes a motion to reopen the nomination process, open it back up
You want to just start over?
and start over.
That sounds
and then,
good.
And then we'll do it.
I make a motion to reopen the nomination process.
Just
Sounds like
just
a
hand
good
it out.
plan.
You just pass it out.
Oh, okay, you're giving a big one this time? You get a big one this time. There you go, David. Now can I renominate? Oh, we didn't vote. We gotta vote if we're opening it up.
So who
Yeah, but-
second that?
Yeah, I think that's just the cleanest and the easiest thing to do,
Okay.
is just to reopen that, so you've had a motion and a second.
Have you enjoyed it, Coach?
So are we gonna
Vote
ask
on
for
re-
nominations again? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think everybody's in
Okay.
agreement, so.
I'll do like I did before. I nominate Sarai for Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, I nominated Coach because of his attendance. He's always here. He's kept good notes and good to rely on if you have a question on past history.
Did you need a second on my nomination?
No.
Okay.
Just pass down
All
the papers.
right, we have two nominations. Would somebody
Is yours
like to
David's?
move that nominations are
David's.
closed?
No,
I move
David
that
hasn't.
it closes.
I'm voting
Okay. All right, so now it's time to vote.
Everyone turn in.
And we also decided, David, we're doing this for a year
Woodward?
because we got out of sequence on odd numbers. So we're gonna move the committees as standing for next fiscal year.
That way that it'll coincide with the election.
And that way it'll fall back in
That's
with
the way I was
a
thinking.
new
So,
announcement of committee seats
You
within,
stay on where
after
we're
an
at.
election.
Yes, sir.
That's good.
I think 2024 is when we to start that.
Woodward.
How old do you have to be?
Councilman Woodward with 4 votes. Councilwoman Melendez with 3. That's the full council, so Councilman Woodward, got 4 votes. 4 to 3.
Congratulations. Okay, next item on the agenda, we have an executive session.
No, we do not.
You do not wanna
No, sir.
take
Wait.
anything up tonight.
No, sir.
I think that's for the council to decide too. Don't we have a say in what's on the agenda if we're gonna amend it?
You've already voted on the agenda.
Yeah.
Approve it.
Right, so,
If you need to amend it, I don't have anything prepared for the executive session.
okay, thanks, that brings clarity. I wasn't sure, so.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'm gonna reserve my comments and, if someone would like to, I
I'll
need
make
a
a
motion
motion.
to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes, sir.
Aye. Thank everyone for
Okay.
attending.
Merry Christmas, man.
You too.
You holler, okay? Holler at me if you need anything.
All right.